Hello, this is Amber Hinds from Equalize Digital, and today I am going to walk you through the new WordPress accessibility ready theme requirements and how to test for them. So what I have right now is a split screen, and on the left I have a window that is showing the instructions for testing WordPress themes in the WP Accessibility Knowledge Base, which is at wpaccessibility.org. And then on the right I have a blank browser that doesn't have anything in it yet, because that's where I'm going to do my testing. I find it helpful to keep these instructions side by side until you get really familiar with the testing process. So what we're going to do is start with the question of, how do I find a theme that needs to be tested? And so I will go to this documentation article that is called Identifying Themes That Need to Be Tested. We'll go there. And it's going to tell me that there are two different ways I can find themes that need to be tested. I can find new themes if I go look in Themes Trac, or existing themes can be found on a Google spreadsheet. This process is pretty new and not fully rolled out. So if I were to go look at that Google spreadsheet, there's nothing on it right now, but in the future, that's where they will live. So for now, we're going to go over to the Themes Trac. And I am going to see there are a couple of themes. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 themes that are currently under review. They haven't been published yet, and they have requested an accessibility ready review. I could basically pick any one of these. Let's look at this one. It's called Theme Repair Serviceman. If I click on that track ticket, I should get a preview of it. So there's my screenshot of it. It's got some orange and white, which right away just flags for me as this might not pass, but that's okay. So let's say I want to go ahead and review this. I am going to, oh, you know what I noticed? I lost my instructions. Let me open this. I probably should have opened that in a new tab. I'm going to open this on my main window and go back to my instructions. Okay, so I've figured out a theme that I want. It says if you choose to review one of these themes, leave a comment on the thread noting you're reviewing it. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to check and make sure nobody else has said that they're going to review it. You notice there's a bunch of discussion and they're going back and forth. I am going to put a comment on here and just say hello. I am going to be doing the accessibility ready review for this theme, and will follow up with you when it is complete. All right. I'm just double checking. Yep, I don't see anything. They're just going through automated issues with Themes team. So I'm going to go ahead and add my comment. And that's all I need to do. So now I'm going to go back to the main testing WordPress themes for accessibility section page, and then I'll click getting set up to test. And this has my instructions for creating a test site, which we do via InstaWP. I'm just going to jump down to the step-by-step instructions and we'll follow along on those. So I need to go to the test site launcher. I'm going to copy this link address and open it in my right-hand browser. And it's going to say I can create it. It's got some information. I'll click the launch demo button. Then I need to enter an email address. This allows me to get the credentials sent to me. The email address isn't used for any other purpose, but that way, if I don't finish testing today, I'll have that URL and login information saved in my email, and I'll be able to come back over the next 7 to 10 days, because that's how long these sites last, and finish my testing. I do have to check the privacy notice, and then I'll click proceed. Now I wait, All right, so my site was created for me at just a kind of generic InstaWP URL, and I was automatically logged into it, and I am now in the WordPress admin dashboard. So that is step one. I can now go down to the section, install, activate, and configure the theme. So I've already determined which theme I'm going to test. I now have to install the theme in the testing site following the instructions that are listed out in this document. There are two ways to go about it. The first one is if it's a new theme, and the second one is if it's a theme that's already published. We are testing a new theme, so what I need to do is I need to go back to the track ticket, and I'm going to go up to the top for a second and show you something. If it is a theme that hasn't had a bunch of back and forth, then at the top of the track ticket in the description section, you can find a zip file. However, this is a theme. When we were scrolling through it, we saw there's a lot of back and forth in comments. So the theme developer has been working on this theme to improve it. And when doing that, they're uploading new zips for additional reviews. So I don't want to download the zip file that is at the top because it is not the most current version. So we want to test the most current version. So what I'm going to do is actually scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to find whatever zip file exists in the last or most recent comment. So right here, I can see here's my zip. I will click this link, and it should trigger a download. I'm just gonna go ahead and save it to my desktop. And then I go back to my WordPress dashboard. I click Appearance, Themes, Add Theme Link. Looks like a button, but it's a link. Then I'm gonna click the Upload Theme button. Then there will be a button to choose the file. I'll click Choose, and then from my desktop, I can select the zip that I previously downloaded. Then I'll click the Install Now button. Says the theme has installed successfully, so then the next step is to click Activate. Now I have my theme installed, and if I were to go look at the front end of my website, which I can do in a new tab, I can see, oh, it looks exactly like the demo that I saw. So I have done that. Now I need to check the steps for configuring the theme. So after activating the theme, there are a few things I need to do. First of all, if the theme prompts me to install any required plugins, I do want to install and activate those. You'll see those messages in a WordPress admin banner notice across the top. I don't see any banner notices telling me that, so that's good. I don't want to do it. I did notice that there's an update prompt for 6.9. You could update that. It doesn't necessarily matter if you're on the absolute most current version of WordPress, but it might be helpful, in particular if you are testing a full site editing theme, because there might be features, for example, if they use the accordion block, that wouldn't be available in this. So I am going to go ahead right now and just update it. So I've clicked the button to update my WordPress version, and that is processing and hopefully will not take too long. And there we go. Now I'm on WordPress 6.9. So the next thing was if prompted to import demo content. Obviously there were no prompts or anything. We can go back to Appearance Themes just to make sure nothing, it didn't tell us that. Great. So I don't need to import any content. A quick note, if you are importing demo content, you want to make sure that you don't overwrite the content on the site. You only want to add to it because we've created some very specific content that we want you to reference in the test. And if you overwrite it, you're going to lose all of that content. So the next thing is I need to set up the menus. So this looks like it is a classic theme. So under Appearance, I can go to Menus, and I am going to check what menu I'm currently on. Right now I'm editing one called Empty Menu. So I'm going to flip over to edit the menu that is called Primary. So I'll select that, scroll down, and I'm going to display the primary menu in the spot that is called Primary Menu. Check the box and then hit Save. Now I'm going to just go to my social menu, and it looks like they have a display location for footer. So I'm going to apply the social menu to the footer. Basically, I want to choose a menu for the footer that doesn't have any drop downs in it, because normally you wouldn't see those in a footer. And you can either use the social menu or you can use one that's called all pages flat. All of these menus already exist for you, so you don't have to waste time creating it. You just have to make sure they're set where you want them to be. So that's number 3, set up menus. Number 4 is to set up the block patterns page. So I need to go to the block patterns page. There is a URL in the documentation that you can copy. You could go directly there by pasting that URL in. You could also go to the front end of your website, and there's a drop down in the menu called Accessibility Ready Test Pages. And as an option under that, I'm already seeing something that I'm not loving, which is that this is it looks like a mega menu styling. But under this, you should be able to see the block patterns page. I had to scroll sideways to find that. So I'm going to click block patterns, and then I will edit this page once I've found it. And basically all I have to do is insert block patterns that are included with the theme into this page for testing. So I'm going to click the block inserter, go to the patterns tab. I'll click all, and I am going to insert all of the patterns in the page, which could take just a little bit, but you should be able to click them and they'll just insert one after another. We don't really care about the format per se, but what we're trying to do is just check and make sure that the theme did not break anything obvious with these core patterns. So we're getting them all in there. Oh, I missed one. There's a lot of these. And notice there's pagination on these templates. So I gotta click to the next page and keep inserting them. And one more page. Sometimes when you're looking at these, you're going to see patterns that are specific to the theme that have been created by the theme. In this instance, these all look like patterns that just come from WordPress core, or maybe the previous theme that we had on the site, but I think WordPress core. So I have gotten them all inserted. So now I'm going to hit save. And because I hate full screen mode, I'm going to click the options in the editor, and I'm going to turn off full screen mode because I really like seeing the admin menu. It helps me move around. You will notice when you are on this site, if I drag up my meta boxes, that accessibility checker is on this site. I don't want to look at it on the blog page yet. We'll come back to that in just a little bit, but you might notice that while you're there. So my last step then for setting up the theme is checking customizer settings and theme settings pages and making sure we turn things on. What you need to turn on or fill out is really going to vary based upon the theme. Different themes handle different things like social media links, enabling comments, whether or not you show or hide a search field. All of that really varies quite a bit depending upon the theme. So you want to look 2 places. The first one is I'm going to go under appearance and customize. Oh, it's telling me I didn't save. So let me check on saving. Okay, says that it updated. So we'll click appearance customize. And then here is where I can see this is a theme that really heavily uses the customizer. So I'm going to go full width for just a minute. And I'm going to just go through the customizer settings and see if there's anything that I want to turn on. I really want to try and turn on as many features as I possibly can. Also, we'll notice here that they have a CTA with a link. Automated tools might flag that. So in order to get rid of some false positives, like accessibility checker would flag that says improper use of link, I'm going to, instead of having the link set to just a hashtag, I'm going to put an actual link in there. And I'm just going to make it wordpress.org. So I got that. Now we've got a hero section that's already filled in. Colors, we don't want to change the colors. What we're testing with the theme is what the default colors are for color contrast. So just leave the colors exactly the way they are. So this one has a primary orange and a secondary blue. I'm not going to change those at all. Footer settings. Okay, so this footer, it looks like there's places to put Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube URLs. And then I'm assuming that it will output social media icons somewhere. We do want to fill these in. They don't have to be real links, so I'm going to just stick some fake ones in there again. But that allows us to see, for example, if they have them set to open in a new window without any warnings. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. I like to make the URL actually match the social media profile URL only because it makes it easier for me later. But they don't have to. You could have just put the exact same WordPress.org in every single one of these, but it's a little more clear if, for example, you find out that, oh, the YouTube one doesn't have any sort of accessible name. It's easier to identify that it's the YouTube one that doesn't have an accessible name because it's linked, you know where it's linked to. So that's the footer settings, header image. We're not gonna do that for now. I'm just gonna leave it and not fill it in. Emergency banner, this is already turned on and has text in it, so that's good. If it were not turned on, I would probably turn that on so that I could test it. I'm not gonna set a background image for now. Actually, wait a minute. Let's go ahead. Let's just select one just for fun. We'll put some pies behind there and see what that does. I don't even see where it would output. Maybe it outputs on like an individual post. Oh, it does. Oh, okay. So this is interesting. In this scenario, I am going to go ahead and leave it because you may have noticed that when I added a background image, now the color contrast is really bad for some of the text because it overrates the white. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this on because we're going to highlight that for the theme developer later. We've already done our menus. Primary and footer were the two locations that they had. There's widget areas. Let's see, it says this page doesn't display any. Let's go to maybe the blog page. Oh boy. That background is going to drive me bananas. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead right now and screenshot this background to show the failure. And then I will remove the background image. Okay. Because there's no way I'm going to be able to fully test that. But I've saved my screenshot so that I have it for later. And then let's see. Widgets, it looks like widgets have already been filled in on this page. And we can see that there's already a search widget there. So that's good because we're going to want to test the search later. Homepage settings are default. So that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit publish. And then I'm going to close the customizer. And I'm just going to check a couple of places to see if there's also a theme settings page, because sometimes they also have that. And there might be other settings that we want to turn on to make sure that we're testing them. So I'm looking under appearance. I do not see a page that says theme settings. I'm also going to look under settings, and I also do not see a page that says that. And then just reviewing the top level items, I do not see that. So if I go back to my instructions, I have now done everything I need in order to customize the site and get it all configured and set up to be ready to test. So if I refresh this, then we can see this is my site ready to test. The next thing I need to do is I need to create an accessibility ready report. The accessibility ready reports are generated with a Google Sheet template. So I am going to go to the section that says copy the template first and create my copy. I'm going to open this in a new tab next to my instructions because it's helpful for me to see the instructions at the same time while I'm doing the work. So I go to the Google Drive folder for theme testing reports. And in that folder, there is a Google Sheet with the name *template accessibility -ready test report. I do not want to edit this because everybody needs to be able to copy this. So instead, I'm going to click the More Actions button, which looks like 3 dots, and then I'm going to click Make a Copy. Once I have created a copy, I'll get a success message from Google, and I'll see it has popped up and it has the name Copy of Template Accessibility Ready Test Report. I don't want it to be named that. I want it to be named something that will help us identify it later. So I'm going to click More Actions again, rename, and I'm going to delete the first part of this that says Copy of Template, and in place, I'm going to put the year-month in the format of YYY-MM, and then the theme name before the text that already says Accessibility Ready Test Report. So in this case, I'm going to put 2025-12, and then I need to get this exact theme name. So I'm going to go back to my track ticket, and I can get the theme name. It's Repair Serviceman, all one word with no spaces. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to paste that in. So now my file, when I hit the OK button to rename it, is called 2025-12 Repair Serviceman Accessibility Ready Test Report. So I have created my copy, I have renamed it, and now it's ready to edit. So the next thing I need to do is click into this to open this report. And then I need to fill in some information at the top of the summary. I'm going to start with the theme name. I can paste in that same theme name, Repair Serviceman, the theme URL. This would be if it was already a live theme, I could link to that. You can get the URL where it's going to live. So we can see this is going to live at wordpress.org/theme/repair serviceman, and I can paste it in. It won't actually be there right now because it's not a published theme, but I can paste that in. The theme version number. So I need to go all the way to the bottom and see what was the version number of the theme that I downloaded. It looks like it was 1.0.14. So I'm going to get that version number and paste that in. And then the track ticket URL, I can get that. And then the theme developer, we are going to get the theme developer's WordPress.org username. So this is DataSenseSoft. And I can copy it from the top of the track ticket. And I want to put it in with an @ symbol first, because when I paste the report out of this into Trac, it will tag them so that they get an email notifying them. And then tested by, this is where I can put my WordPress username. and I'm just ALH0319. And then the test state in the same format, YYY-MM-DD. So 2025-12-22. And then this tested on URL, these aren't going to be permanent sites, but if I have to come back to this or I want to share it with them, if they're going to be looking at my feedback in the next few days, it can be helpful to include this. Obviously, these are going to go away, but for my reference later, it's helpful to have this saved here. So now I have filled in the report summary, and I don't have to do anything else on this tab. And basically now I am ready to test, which is super exciting. Everything else that's on the summary tab is going to get automatically filled in once I fill in information on the full review tab. So what I'm going to do is click in my sheet over to the full review, and then I can see here I have a list of everything that I need to test. There is an explanation of the statuses, so you'll notice when you first open it that most things are set to not evaluated. There are a few that are already set as not applicable because we know that it doesn't apply or you don't have to test it every time. So when you are testing, you are going to go through these drop downs and change them from not evaluated to either pass, fail, or not applicable. A pass means it passes in all instances with 0 exceptions, and a fail means there is at least one case in which it does not pass. And not applicable would mean that it doesn't apply to that particular page or section, and so you'd put that in. A completed report is not going to have any not evaluated, but what we're going to talk about in a minute is that there is a threshold for this. If you know that you can only put in a short amount of time and you look at a theme and you can tell, hey, this has a lot of really obvious problems that it's not going to pass, you don't have to spend time testing in great detail. You can test and identify a few things that might be problems and then let them know that they need to go ahead and fix those things first, re-review all of the accessibility ready requirements, and then they'll get a more thorough audit. So we want to respect your time as a volunteer tester and make sure that the developers are really doing the work that they need to do into ensuring on their end that the theme is actually truly accessibility ready before they ask a volunteer tester to spend a good amount of time auditing it. So what I can tell you right now, I know this just from looking at the homepage. This website is going to fail. It's going to fail color contrast because orange on white never passes. There are some other things that I had some concerns about. Like you saw, there was a overflow to the right that required a horizontal scroll. So that is also an issue, but I don't want to instantly fail them and go back to them right now because I want to show you a little bit of what this process looks like. So we're going to pretend like I didn't notice the color contrast yet. And I'm going to go through our testing doc. I'm going to close out a few of the things that I don't need. And I'm going to open some of the things that I do. So a few things that are helpful to know is that we have in our full review tab several different pages that need to be looked at and then different checks. These different checks all link over to documentation where you can read how to test them. So you can click the link there, or if you're already on the site, you can find this if you go under the standards and best practice menu, theme accessibility guidelines, and then we find all of the specific items that need to be tested in this section. What I like to do that makes it fast for me is to go ahead and open all of the URLs that I need to reference for a specific section. You could go all the way down the front page, or you could do all of the checks for a specific group at a time, which is the way I like to do it because I find it easier to be like, I'm just going to check skip links on every page and move across group by group. I'm going to move this theme tab out of my main section, and then I'm going to open everything in the same order that I need it for testing so it's easier for me to report. So I already have the front page open. I need the blog page. You can get the URL for the blog page out of the row 1 column header if you want, or you can find them under accessibility ready test pages, and they should be in the same order. So it is easiest for me to just go through this. I've opened this nav menu. I'm going to right click blog page, and I'm going to open link in a new tag. Then I've got post with comments, open link in a new tab, category archive block, open link in a new tab, and continue on through this list, page markup and formatting, search results page, 404 page, black patterns, which was hiding. So I can cross-reference this and just make sure. So I now have my blog as my second tab. I have post with comments right here, template comments as my third. Then I've got my category archive example. So this is a category archive example. Then I have page markup and formatting. Then I have my block patterns page. Oops, I need to move that over. It wasn't quite in the right spot. So I'm going to move the tab so it matches the same order as my reporting sheet. Then I have search results and 404 page. I'm going to try to adjust these a tiny bit so that we can see all of the pages on the browser. There we go. We'll make this window more narrow. So now I've got my instructions on the left and my sheet with all of the pages there. So I can click on skip to content link. And if I'm not sure how to test this, there are instructions under a testing heading that tell me what tools I need. In this instance, just a browser and my tab key and enter or return. And then for every template that's being tested, you can log out or view in another browser and then refresh the web page to ensure your focus is at the top. Press the tab key, right? I'll show you how to do this. So I'm going to keep the instructions open. I am going to go ahead and open this in a private window real quick here. So we can see now I look like I am logged out. And what I need to do is make sure I'm up at the top. Then I press tab. Okay, I did not see a skip link appear. And I'm now in the header. So right there, I know if I go back to my report on the home page, this was a fail. There is no skip link. The skip link text, this also then fails because it's not there. Not the first focusable element. The skip link is visible when receiving focus. I can't evaluate that. Skip link moves focus when triggered. I can't evaluate. So I'm just leaving that. Also, I guess this one would be not evaluated. So I've got 2 fails and then things I literally cannot check because it's not there. Let's check these on a couple of the other pages, but it's possible that there's not going to be skip links anywhere. So I'm on my blog. I hit tab. Again, no skip link. Then I go to the post with comments, no skip link. I'm going to jump over to my search results page. Hitting tab, no skip link. 404 page, no skip link. So this is a fail. And across the board, there are no skip links anywhere on this website. You can drag. So what I'm actually going to do that's going to make this easier for me is I can click and highlight 3 cells in this column for the front page. And then if I grab the little dot, I can drag it all the way over. And now I've added fails everywhere there. So now I would move on to meaningful landmark rules. Let's go back to my instructions for meaningful landmark rules. So now I'm going to see, are there any landmarks that exist on the page? I could still do this on my incognito or my logged out view if I wanted, but I want to be able to use a really handy browser extension that I love called Landmark Navigation. So I'm going to do this logged in. And basically what I am looking for is I'm going to see all the landmarks on the page. And the first thing is I'm going to verify that all content in the page is wrapped inside at least one landmark. And I have my instructions here with more detailed, but I can see on my spreadsheet the specific check. So I'm now in this meaningful landmark roles and names section on the spreadsheet. And the first thing I have to check is all content wrapped in a landmark region. And I can go back to the home page and I'm going to use my landmark navigation. And I do see landmarks, so this is good. So if I hover over these, toolbar, this comes from WordPress admin, so I'm going to ignore that. Banner should be the header, and that is there. Then we have a navigation landmark. That's good. We have a main. Ooh, there's something interesting. The banner ends before this emergency notice, and the main starts after it. So let's inspect this. I'm going to right click in my browser, and I'm going to see, here's my header landmark, and here's my main landmark. So I have found right now that this is a failure, but I need to put a note. So I'm going to just grab the class out of the inspector, and I'm going to say fail, and I'm going to note dot emergency banner is not in a landmark region, should probably be in the header. Okay, let's go back. Let's keep looking again. So we had a main. We're going to figure out where the main ends. So we're going to scroll down and keep looking. I still see the pink outline. Okay, the main goes all the way to where there's a footer. And then I see content information, which is the footer. So that right there looks like the only area that is not contained in a landmark region. So that's the home page. Now I'm on my blog page and I'm going to do the same thing. So we have a complimentary for the sidebar, which is correct. The search is in a search. Content info, let's just check at the bottom. So this is pretty quick. I can go through all of the templates and basically I'm looking for that pink outline and I'm just checking to see if there's anything that is not inside one. So I see related posts. Is that in the main? Yep, that's inside the main. So that's good. Now I'm on my category archive, which is just called block. Let's see, I'm gonna go to the bottom of the main, content info. So all of these so far, it's looking like the only problem is that emergency services item. This is interesting. There's a complimentary landmark, but I don't see it. I'm curious where that is. There's my main. There's my complimentary. It's an aside. I do not know where those widgets are. There's some weird sideways scroll on this website though. Those are like hidden, but still, oh, there it is. Way over to the side. That's a reflow problem, which is a different thing to check. But we can see as I continue through, Whoa, what is all this navigation? Super weird. If you click on one, oh, those are my block navigations, block patterns. Okay, search page. Let's check the search page. Sometimes people forget to put like a main on the search page, but this one has it, which is good. Post navigation, content info, okay, and the 404, same deal. Okay, so it's really only that one problem, and it applies across them all. I'm only actually going to output this comment once. If I put it here, it would say it over and over again, and I really don't want it to say it over and over again, so I'm going to only write the comment one time. Header content is wrapped in a banner landmark. We saw that was a pass. Main body content is wrapped in main. We saw that was pass. Footer content is in a content info landmark, pass. There is only one banner landmark. We saw that. If you're not sure, you can go back again and look. Only one banner, only one content info. So again, pass. There's only one main landmark, pass. There's only one content info, pass. All duplicated landmark regions have unique accessible names. So let's go back. We're going to check this everywhere except for the block patterns usually, but I'm going to look again and see if there is any duplication. I only see one navigation tag. I don't actually see anything that is duplicated at all. So, and I'm pretty sure that was the same on even the page with the sidebar. Yep. So that would be a not applicable because there's no duplicated landmark regions. Landmark ARIA label is also not applicable because none of them have them. Theme declares support for navigation widgets. And that's interesting. What do I need to do there? So I'm not sure about this check. So this is where I can go back to my testing instructions on wpaccessibility.org. And I can see this is the last check, number 8. It says, if the theme has a functions.php file, verify that the theme declares support for navigation widgets in its add theme support HTML5 array. If the theme does not have a functions.php file, then this requirement is not applicable. There are a lot of different ways to look at the functions.php file, but the easiest way for me is I am going to open a new tab and go in the admin and go to Appearance, Theme File Editor. I get a giant warning that I shouldn't edit this. I understand. I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to look at it. Then I'm going to choose the functions.php file from the theme files menu. And here we go. Now I can see this is what I'm looking for. Add theme support HTML5. Add theme support HTML5. Search form, comment list, gallery, caption. Does it declare support for navigation widgets? No, it does not. So this is a fail. And I only have to test that once. The rest of these, this is helpful. I've looked at all of these again, so I can drag these passes and not applicable over because I checked all those previously. So now I'm done with that section as well. Then I'm going to go to my keyboard navigation support section. Let me open my keyboard navigation support instructions on wpaccessibility.org. And it's going to tell me what I need to do in order to test all of these things. And I can see the different checks. So the first thing I need to do is all interactive elements can be reached using the keyboard. So let's go to the home page. And this is going to be something that I would tab through everything. And I want to see that all of our links and buttons and nav menus and anything that is actionable can be reached via the tab key. So I've tabbed, I'm on the logo, top level nav. Oh, it went across, but it did not open the drop down. So I cannot reach the drop downs. It's reaching my links. Linked images are getting focused. They don't have a great focus outline, but that's a different problem. Let's make sure none of these. Oh, here's something else weird. Areas we serve. This has a hover element, but I guess if I click it with my mouse, it doesn't do anything. So sometimes things like this is a weird design. It makes me think these are interactive, but they're actually not. So it's okay that they don't receive focus. So sometimes when I'm tabbing, I might think, oh, it missed something, but then I go with my mouse and just check, is there an action there for a mouse user? And if they're not, then I know it's okay. So I'm going to keep. Now I'm in my footer. Those are my social media links. Here's all my links in the footer, and I'm just tabbing through them all. Privacy policy, terms of service. Okay, so everything except for the drop downs in the navigation menu. So what I'm going to do is go back to my report, and all interactive elements can be reached via the keyboard. That was a fail on the homepage. Now you want to check because there could be other interactive elements on other templates, but I'm starting to hit a point where I'm saying I've seen some really major problems. Both there's no skip link, the item without the landmark role, they got close on that, but they missed it. They didn't declare support for navigation widgets. I can't even get into the dropdown. So at this point, I'm going to stop my accessibility ready test. And I'm going to say, there's no point in continuing this because I don't think that this theme developer clearly read the instructions. And what I want to do is I want to give them some constructive feedback on these items and have them fix these items and also look at the other things that they need to test. And then they will be able to come back and get another review. And that way I'm not wasting time documenting a whole bunch of things when it looks to me like maybe they didn't really read the accessibility ready guidelines. The other thing that I mentioned earlier, which we'll go ahead and test now, is the color contrast. And this is a really easy check. So there's a couple of ways that I could test this color contrast. The free version of the Accessibility Checker WordPress plugin is installed on the site. So I could click the Accessibility Checker button, which is positioned visually in the bottom right corner, but is actually at the top of the DOM for a screen reader user. And then I could go through and scan the page and see what problems it finds on that home page and see what it alerts us to. So here we go. We've got some big errors. Insufficient color contrast right there. Insufficient color contrast right here. A lot of different issues, right? Most of which are insufficient color contrast. Maybe some other items that would need to be addressed. Another way of testing this is with a browser extension. So a handy browser extension is Wave, and this also is going to show, it's showing 51 different contrast issues. So that gives us a count. So obviously there's a lot of failures with that, and I'm going to go ahead and document that as well. So we've got a fail on text, and that's probably good enough for now. I'm not even going to test hover states or focus states, but I'm going to put a note of 51 different color contrast issues identified in Wave. So I've decided that's it. I'm done. So my next step then is I can click on this tab, Markdown for Track. So what this tab does in our report is it takes all of the information from our summary tab, which I'll go over to, and you can now see here's things that I've tested. I've tested 4 different things, and it has them all marked as failures, and then some other ones have test incomplete because I didn't test them. And there's notes that I put in have been passed through, so we can see some of the notes that I put in. And then there are next steps that have already changed to reflect that the report has failures. So then I can go to my Markdown tab. And on my Markdown tab, it makes it very easy for me to get this report formatted in a way that it can be pasted into a track ticket so that they know what we're doing. Once we're on this tab, there is one thing that we have to do manually, which is we have to get the sharing URL if we want them to be able to see this report. And I get that by clicking the quick share actions in the top right of the header, and I click copy link. And then I just go ahead and paste that link in. And you'll notice that when I pasted it in cell C1, that then my A2 cell updated to include that link. And it has a full summary of what I have done so far, along with links over to the documentation if someone wants to read more of it. So I'm going to hit Command C, and I'm going to go to my track ticket. I'll make this a little wider, and I can go write a comment, and I can paste in what I've copied. One thing I did note is it adds a quote, so I like to get rid of the quote, the double quote at the end and the double quote at the very beginning. And if you see the preview, then it has all of what I've done so far pasted in here. And then if I'm like, that's good, I can go ahead and click add comment. Now, I might have decided that this is a lot for them because I didn't test everything and it's not a complete test. So what I'm going to do in that case is maybe shorten this, and I could go ahead and edit that. So that's an overview of the new theme accessibility ready testing process. I am super excited about this process because I know that it is going to make it way easier to test themes and provide consistent reports, and also more transparent information for theme developers so that they know what they need to fix if they're close and they only have a few items to work on. If you have any questions about this new process, please leave a comment and let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. And if you are interested in helping to accessibility ready test themes, you can learn how to do it. It is an amazing way to give back to the WordPress community and also to learn accessibility by doing, which is really the best way to learn accessibility. Please reach out to me. You can find me on Make WordPress Slack in the accessibility testing channel, and I would be happy to help you get up and running testing themes. Thanks so much.